Let us stand together.
Yeah. They cry from the ghetto, and they wear on them like they don't care about nobody now. Victor vibes, if you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When you use them, no, we got to try.
Blessed and good afternoon to each and every one. Welcome to Facts, Not Fiction. Of course, today being Sunday is as good as any other day. Let me welcome our local, international, and regional viewers. Welcome. Today, ladies and gentlemen, as we get straight into our discourse, I want to draw your attention and bring back your recollection to earlier on in this year. Sometime around March, we would have heard the Prime Minister making pronouncements that the country would be reopened. We have heard, ladies and gentlemen, throughout the pandemic, we have heard about grants, we have heard about loans, we have listened to the Prime Minister speak on a number of occasions in relation to helping the business sector to recuperate. We understand that there would have been assistance forthcoming to help in many aspects in relation to this reopening. We have seen, as a result of the way the government managed this pandemic, we have seen over 600 businesses close their doors. While we have 600 businesses closing their doors throughout the pandemic, we have seen from as early as 2016, the government embark on what we would call shutting down the labor force of this country. We have seen port workers sent home. We have seen TSTT workers sent home. We have seen many of the Point Lisas industrial plants close, pack up, people being sent home. We have seen Petrotrin close, people sent home. And the list continue. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is long before any introduction of any policies, which was none at all in relation to the pandemic. So we have seen the business sector, the government started to minimize. We have also seen the removal of fuel subsidy on a yearly basis, which was a policy implemented by the Keith Rowley administration. So we have seen all these built up, ladies and gentlemen, long before the introduction of this pandemic in Trinidad and Tobago. We have seen, ladies and gentlemen, that under this administration, there was policies that the government took to create what is now existing and what they are now blaming on the Russian-Ukraine affair as well as the pandemic. Prior pandemic, ladies and gentlemen, we have seen all these activities that was contributing to what is now existing a negative growth within our economy. We have seen the economy of Trinidad and Tobago coming in government in 2015, where the PNM met this economy in a stable position. A matter of fact, where there was growth in the economy. Coming into 2015, and because of the lack of policies, therefore, we have seen the collapse of this economy long before this pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, we have listened to this government. This government, as a result of the flip-flop decisions that they made, when they themselves understand what was happening, we see coming in the first year into the pandemic, the Keith Rowley administration spoke of a recovery plan. They spoke about a roadmap that they have handpicked individuals, including Vasan Bharat, and they have placed a committee to plan a way forward, which they call the roadmap out of the pandemic, to put in place systems, mechanism where we would be able to move from point A to point B. During that period, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard the government spoke about millions of dollars that was allocated for the small business sector. Money that will help those institutions to be, or at least to help them to recover in somewhat. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are faced with these businesses still closed, yet to the end of the day, the government came to us and said to us that they have a plan to reopen the country, and therefore they would put the necessary systems in place for this to be carried out. Today, ladies and gentlemen, the country is now open a couple weeks now, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are worse. We are worse off during this period than when we were actually, according to them, within the lockdown phase in this country. This government, ladies and gentlemen, came to us. Many media briefing, many plans they spoke of, but yet today, none materialize. They have spoken to us, ladies and gentlemen, as to how we will move from this stage to that stage. But today, when you examine what is happening with the economy of this country, you would see that the government have no plan whatsoever to boost, to reactivate or to start back the economy of this country. The government has brought no plan that will encourage foreign investors in this country. The government, they have brought no plan as to the way that they could assist the small business that closed their doors during this pandemic period to have a chance of being reopened. The government, ladies and gentlemen, they have exercised all sorts of draconian measures, but yet to the end of it all, the country remains stagnant. Even though they are boasting of the reopening, the country remains stagnant, and the citizens of this country, they are further worse off than during the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to just sit back just a bit and just examine where we was between 2010 and 2015. Think about where you were. Think about your standard of living. Think about the opportunities that you had. Think about the opportunities that your children had. Think about the educational system. Think about your savings. Think about the jobs that you had earned. Think about your medical plan. Think about your pension plan. Think about you could have eaten whatever you have decided. You could have gone to the grocery and make a comfortable grocery because of the opportunities, because of the jobs, because of the way in which the partnership had brought the economy where you were able to survive and still put aside $1 for the rainy day. I want you to think about all those opportunities that you had. I want the family to think how you could have get together and have such family occasions and celebrate, whether it be anniversaries or birthdays or any public holiday, or a matter of fact, at any given time, you could have called your family together and put some kind of meal together. Hey boy, this week we're going and cook 2 duck and put something together. Come cross, let's eat and have a time. I want you to remember those days, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to understand where you are today from where you were yesterday. Yesterday under another government, all these opportunities were before you. All these opportunities were in your hands. Your life destiny outside the realm of spirituality, it was in your hands to make decisions. But today, ladies and gentlemen, because of a government and because of a lack of vision, a lack of policies, a government who refused to take advice, a government who refused to continue the implementation of the plans of the People's Partnership, a government who took decision to alter, to stop, to shut down, to close down every opportunity that you had in this country. Today you are at the place where you are actually becoming paupers. You are actually becoming paupers, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, how could you, as human beings, submit and subject yourself to this arrogant type of behavior by this government? We have seen, ladies and gentlemen, where today you can no longer provide for your family. You can no longer provide for your family. And those who still providing, very soon you will see for yourself that the pond that you believe will remain filled with water every day that pass. It's a day drier your financial pond get in this country. And you will realize that very soon you will be at the place where you can no longer sustain your family. When you see a government who took a position to protect their friends and their finances and to provide for their family, you ought to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that we are on the road to destruction. The road to recovery, ladies and gentlemen, it is to recover from what? You cannot recover from the destiny that you have so set in place. This government have set this policy. They have created the road. They have taken us, all of us who were able to sustain and to mind and to take care of ourselves and our family. They have collectively taken us and placed us on that road to destruction. That is a road, ladies and gentlemen, that some of you will die and never recover from. Ladies and gentlemen, this government embark on shutting down, closing down. They embark on taxation. They embark on removing your standard of living from the benchmark that you have so worked and set and put in place. They have taken that benchmark without your consent, without your consideration, and they have broken it down below and bring you to the point where you, who were once financially stable, you are now at the point where you will have to ask for 25 cents. That is what this regime have done and continue to do. And the sad part about that, ladies and gentlemen, is that we, the citizens, continue to allow them to continue on that road where our lives will come to the point of being nothing but beggars. That is what this government has done. We have seen questions placed by the opposition, questions placed in the parliament of this country, questions that is asking for financial accountability. And we have faced an uphill battle, ladies and gentlemen. We have faced a battle, firstly, by Anisette George, the Speaker of the House, who continues to debar the opposition from asking pertinent questions, questions where you would be able to see through what they are doing to us. So apart from the Speaker debarring and shutting down the pertinent questions, on the other hand, we have a Prime Minister who continue to demonstrate this high level of arrogance and stupidity that he would not give account for the taxpayers' money in this country. He would not give account. We have also seen that those who support this government, they will not make an effort to bring some sort of accountability to you, the people who have voted them into office to look after your interests. But yet, to the end of the day, they will not stand up and bring any sort of financial account to you, the people, so that you could understand what is happening. You know why? Because we have learned from small that birds of a feather, they will flock together. We have learned that from small. So what is happening today is that we are being debarred from understanding what is going on with our accounts. There is no accountability, and therefore we have to take whatever the Keith Rowley administration say to us. We have to take that as gospel. And you, the people, know how many times we have catch this goodly prime minister lying publicly, internationally, because when you lie publicly, it goes throughout the world. We have a whole wardrobe of lies from this prime minister. And we continue to accept that kind of governance in our country. You know what is happening today, Trinidad and Tobago? We are at the place where this whole country may very well erupt at any given time. And I want to show you why I am saying this. Gaspidoli, I want to come to you on my second point, which will also interface backward and forward with the first. Gaspidoli, you are the Minister of Education. Supposed to be. Or on pen and paper. Or by position. But I want to say to you, Minister of Education, that you is what we can consider to be the worst Minister of Education ever. You see, I would have hoped that as you come to government and they place you in that ministry, after Garcia and Lovell had made a mess of the educational system in this country, I would have thought that you going into that ministry, you would have gone to some of the files that Dr. Tim Gopi Singh left there, and you would have read those files. You would have seen the vision. You would have understand the mathematics in the discharging of Dr. Tim Gopi Singh tenure in office as a Minister of Education, one of the best the country have seen after my political leader. But the point I'm making is that I would have thought that you would have sit and examine these documentation where you would have bring some sort of meaningful, some sort of tangible, some sort of relief to the children of this country, so that they would have benefited from what Tim Gopi Singh have left in the cabinet of education in this country. You, Gaspidoli, you are a failure. Added to that, I want to show you, Gaspidoli, that under your stewardship as Minister of Education, I think Archie have a clip there. I want you to run that clip. I want Archie to show you, minister, what is taking place, what is happening because of your incompetence. So let's watch it. Gaspidoli, this is what your government have sown in this country. Let me help you and let me break it down because I want you to understand. Leave she there, Archie. Leave she right there for now. When a government, but let me back up a little bit. Coming out of the pandemic, we have had these same children home for about 2 years. Am I right or what? We have had these same children home for about 2 years. During that 2-year period, prior, we have had you and your government, Gaspidoli, took a position and blank and scrap the laptop program. We have had Gaspidoli, you and your government scrap the textbook grant. Now, these are two necessity in education. These are two necessity in education. Now, I want to take my time and show you why we are now at this stage that Archie just showed there. When you bring a government into office and that government reduce the level, reduce the bar that was set by the previous government in education, reduce it. So let's say Dr. Tim Gopi Singh had set this bar at 90%. When you have a government who comes into office and met this bar at 90%, and within a couple of months took decisions to bring that bar, to reduce that bar down to about 20%, that would be the reality. And I will explain. Don't worry. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we had this laptop program up and running, where the children would have benefited based on the fact that the world, the whole universe, they were moving into the computer age. When the world set the stage that we are going to move into this era, then all third world countries will have to make and take and put policies in place to raise the standard of their country up to par in order to benefit from this new computer age. So Kamla Prasad Bisesa, seeing within the future, she had decided to put this policy in place where from this level of education, we will introduce this program so that our children would be able to bring themselves to the point that they would very well be marketable after they have completed their studies. So, the computer was up and running. Added to that, Kamla Prasad Bisesa also see it fit, because of some of the hardship that were outside within the public domain. She have also put policies where the government would have cushioned this textbook system in order to equip our children and to give them that opportunity to be up to date within the educational system. All right? So this was up and running. But when the PNM came into office, they saw the money that was being spent in education on your children's laptop, on your children's textbook. They saw that as a waste of money. They saw that as a waste of money. And listen who saw it. The man who said that the black people in this country, that they are behind. All you remember who said that? Well, if all you can remember, let me help all you remember. It was Keith Christopher Rowley who said that. I just want to help all you to remember. So, they saw that the laptop and the textbook money, that it was a waste of time, and added to that, it was not important. All right. So Gaspidoli, Garcia, Lovell, Rowley, Beckers, Manning, the whole team, they saw that that was a waste of money. Your children education. I want, you see, I'm taking my time. I ain't roughing all you up. I'm talking to all you because I want all you to understand where we going. We ain't reach yet, you know. I want all you to understand where we going. So, they removed the laptop program, shut it down. They removed the textbook grant, stop that. I ain't going with food and all that today. We ain't dealing with that. We're dealing right here. So they stopped that. Added to that, not only did these individuals cut these important necessity out, they shut down those programs. Added to that, the schools that Tim Gopi Singh and the partnership, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, were constructing, were building. These were schools that you would have been able to, your children would have been able to place in these schools, one. Two, we would not have had this overcrowding problem that tutor and others complaining about, but we would have been able to have your children placed in different institutions. The NESC was one, MIC and other institutions that were there to place your children where your children would have been able to utilize their skills in various and sundry manner. But what happened is that when this government took all these decisions, boom, pandemic coming. Now, when the pandemic come in, ladies and gentlemen, I would have thought that the government would have seen the urgency to reinstate this laptop immediately, since decisions had to be taken where children would have had to stay home and not enter public schools. I thought that Gaspy Dolly had a vision where she would have seen, and you see the glasses ain't working for she, because if the glasses ain't working, she'd have see what I'm saying. She would have seen that urgency in order to reinstate this laptop program. Go through your Ministry of Education, pull the list, look at the children, start to put laptop in place, have them delivered to the children. So these 2 years where these kids was home idling, these 2 years where our children were home without an education, these 2 years where our children were able to relax their mindset from ascertaining this level of qualifications, they would have been up to date. They would have been in par if they had these laptops in their possession. These laptops, you see, these laptops was the key for these children in the pandemic in order to remain at a level. One teacher said recently, he said there was a boy who was doing work home and he was getting all his work right until he come back to school. You know why? It was his parents. It was his parents. They was picking up documents by the school and taking it home. And when they take up these packages and carry it home, the parents doing the work. You see, when you have a laptop home, the teacher could see who's sitting in front of it. The teacher could know what is happening. But today, ladies and gentlemen, this government didn't see it fit to reinstate that laptop program. Look, the bunch of culprits here. They didn't see it fit to reinstate the laptop program so that the children could benefit. You know why? Every one of them on that screen that you see in there, minus Franklin Khan, he gone, but he family here. Every one of them, I sure are putting this on a block that all who had children there, they had teachers coming home and teach their children. They had devices. Every single one of them had devices home for the children. But they didn't see it fit to reinstate that program so that your children would have been able to learn, to qualify themselves, and to make themselves somebody. Instead of that, I will show you again just now. Instead of that, this is what we have. This is what we have. Watch it. Watch it. This is what we have, ladies and gentlemen. This is your children. This is your children. You see Fat Man Pelta drop kick there? Fat Man hold pants rip open. This is what we have happening in our educational system. No fault of the children. That is not the fault of the children, but I want to move on a little more. While we hear now that the government speaking about police, and they have police by all the schools driving and patrolling. A matter of fact, I saw a video the other day that I see a boy collect 2 slapping super by a gas station. Platow. With what allegedly is a police officer exercising his fist. Platow, I'm fed up with all you. But we go hear about that as we go along. We go hear about that, you go see the video, and we go deal with that as we go along. But this is what this is what is happening. So now we're talking about police here, police there. Now we're talking about put them before the court, lock them up, do them this, do them that. All you believe that is the answer? All you feel that is the answer? Well, if all you feel that is the answer, all you're more illiterate than I think. You see, I want to share something with a little day. I remember that the partnership, they had brought in guidance officers. They have brought in psychiatrists. They have brought in individuals who is specialized or specially trained in different areas to deal with different category of children. Those who may suffer with cerebral palsy, and those who may be autistic, and those who continue to show a certain particular behavioral pattern in elementary and kindergarten school, to have these children examined and tested to see if because sometimes a little lack of oxygen during birth does cause disorders within the brain that does cause children to behave in different way. And I remember Tim Gopi Singh had placed a policy where these specialists would have been taking care of your children from a tender age, and they would have been able to treat them based on what the findings were. They would have treated them and have these children not mix into the bigger population. Some of these children will require specialized schools in order to cope with whatever level of disorder they may have in their brain. And these is policies that the partnership had put in place. We have to have these policies reintroduced into our school, into our educational system. Ladies and gentlemen, while we have these children in every form, in primary, in secondary school, behaving in this way, the police and lock up and before the court is not the answer to this problem. This is problem. Watch 500 more guidance officers to come back school. Dysfunctions. You see how the thing was setting? You see how it was setting? This is what the government was doing. This is what was going to happen. But to the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, this country, we are allowing our children to become criminals within the educational system. That is what we are allowing. We have to bring back professionals and have these children who behave in this particular way, have them sorted out by professionals in order to see what is happening within the minds of these children. What we are seeing here, this is not just normal behavior. This is not normal behavior. This is behavior that calls for qualified specialists to deal with our children, to ensure that the best care would be provided for them. This is what is needed. But I want to add to that, how many of these children leaving to come to school in the morning without a meal? How many of these children coming to school in the morning where their parents cannot provide a breakfast for them to come to school? Are you not seeing frustrated children here? Are you not seeing, let me tell you the next flip side to that. One of the things that is happening, ladies and gentlemen, is that the parents, they are also demonstrating a high level of frustration by not being able to provide for their kids. And when they cannot provide for their kids, let me ask you mothers something. You ever have a baby who crying for milk and you don't have milk to give the baby? I remember there was this case, very sad, with this parent beat a baby. The baby suffered complications and died. And that case was, the parent was saying in the court that this baby was crying uncontrollably. And therefore, that parent became so angry that that was the end result. Let me tell you something. I have dropped hampers in people's home. I have seen how children behave when they saw that hamper bag coming with some food in it. We cook lunch and distribute certain times. And I have seen when we reach before the gate of a family who may probably have 3 or 4 children, I am telling you, these children will run for their life and they will raft that box of food out your hand without saying thank you. Not because they don't want to say thank you, but at that point the food is more important than even talking. I'm bringing it real for you, The food is more important than even talking. Them children will wrap that box and they will start to eat. Sometimes you give them the little white spoon, the little sanitary spoon, and watch. They ain't had time with that. They will dip inside that box with their hand and start to eat that food. And sometimes you'll hear the parent quarreling, bring it inside. You know why they want it inside? Because they had to get to. That is the state of affairs in this country. That is the state of affairs. So how many of these school children going to school in those secondary schools and doesn't have a meal when they go in, much less a meal when they come in? Yesterday I learned that the People's Partnership was going to set up an institution to deal with box lunches and breakfast and so on in Central. I will bring more information on that to you. In Central would have been the central point for distributions of meals. And let me tell you something. When the partnership and Tim Gopi Singh and Kamla Prasad Bisesa was planning that, the country still wasn't as bad as it is today under the PNM. And they were putting these things in place. When a child come to school without food, let me ask you something, parents. Let me ask you something. The morning they get up and you have nothing to eat, and don't fool yourself because I know. What does be your mindset? I'm going to tell you. They have a saying, an angry man, a hungry man is an angry man. Let me tell you something. Your mindset when you're angry, the slightest thing does strip you off. And all of you who know that. Gaspidoli, Rowley, Manning, Imbot, the whole team, them won't understand that. Them won't understand what does happen when a man hungry. So they would not even be able to put policies in place to assist the children in the school system. Them don't have the opportunity to know what it means to be hungry. You hear what I'm telling you? They don't have the opportunity. They eat the best, they drink the best, and when they go in the toilet, they pass out the best. They won't understand. But when these children in a classroom and they have no food and they know what they leave home is what they're going back home to meet. They leave home with nothing and they're going back home to meet nothing. What you expect will happen? Well, let me tell you what's going on in the classroom. Gaspidori, let me help you. What is happening in the classroom today is that the bigger children, they are searching the younger children to see who come to school with money. I helping you. They are searching the younger children to see who come to school with money. And when they search the younger children and they get a $10 or whatever they get, then they have a nice meal in the canteen in school while your child going hungry. I'm telling you what causing some of the fights. So like my son Joshua passed through that. But I had a policy. I tell Joshua, any fighting in school, I am going to deal with you when you come home. But you know what I have done? I tell you what I have done. I have revisited my position. And I now tell my son that he ought to defend himself in school. Yes. I tell my child, I tell my daughter who going Point 14 convent, Joshua who going Separ West. You know what I did? I said to them that the time has come where you must defend yourself if you cannot run. Because we go show back the film just now. You go see you can't run in this thing, you know. You can't run in this thing because they're running you down. You can't escape, watch. You cannot escape in this thing. Watch what's going on now, man. Watch. You cannot escape. You cannot run, watch. Fat man pelting dropkick, fat man. But who knows what is the root cause? Is it because somebody was being searched? Is it somebody being bullied to take away the money for somebody else to get a lunch? That is what is happening. Gaspidoli, let me also tell you what is happening. What is also happening is marijuana is being sold in the school. You hear what I'm saying? There is now the block in the schools. So you could let her hear, block your ears and play in here in what's going on. There is marijuana selling in the school compound by students. And while I am never going to endorse or support that, let me tell you something. One child will question. One child, because I have friends all about you. I have teachers who is friends. I have MTS security who is friends. I have police who is friends. I have all kind of friends. One child was questioned. And you know what that child said to the person? I know plenty of the waiting there are saying a police or MTS, but let me tell you what they said to the person. They say, sir, you could come home and go by we have nothing to eat. We have nothing to eat. I selling this, I have to give the man X amount and I'm making up money to buy grocery. No, that may not justify. It cannot justify what is happening in the school. But what that does say to us is that people are prepared to do anything to put a meal on the table. That is what people are quite prepared to do. And this is what is happening in the school. I have children going to school. At one time, my son was blocked from passing at a certain area that they call the block. They say if you ain't want wheat to buy, you can't pass there. You understand? But poor fella, somehow take after me. He decided that he passing anywhere in the school compound. And you know what happened? He was attacked. He was attacked. That is the reality. He was attacked. So I had to teach the boy now how to defend himself. He mustn't be the aggressor, but he must be able to defend himself. My daughter have to be able to defend herself. That is the reality, because what we are seeing now happening, it is a sad reality. Drugs are selling in the school, and it seems as though that Gaspy, Dolly, Rowley, and the rest of them, they are dumb, blind, and dotish to what is happening. That is what it seems. It seems as they are dumb, blind, and dotish. They have no idea how to solve the problem. Everything that they do in the educational system, they make it worse. This bunch of idiots, they make everything they put their hand on collapse. Everything is collapsing. And when you hear education is on the verge of collapse, ladies and gentlemen, it tells you the society that we would be living in, or a matter of fact, it tells you the society that you will be killed in. That is what it tells you. And this is what this government cannot see. Rowley, Gaspy Dolly, and the rest of them should resign from governance and give somebody the opportunity to save this country. Let me move on to the third point because time is running. Added to that, we are now seeing an out of control crime situation. So school violence out of control, the economy crash, and we are now experiencing what we can call a new level of crime in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, when a government took decisions as this government has taken, what will happen is that crime will continue to spiral. We are witnessing telephone cables cutting left, right, and center. A matter of fact, one guy was electrocuted and another shot dead. We have witnessed murders, family members being wiped out. We have seen drive-by shootings on the increase. We are seeing larceny of motor vehicle and predial larceny and other types of home invasion and other crimes that is being perpetrated against this society. While all this is happening, ladies and gentlemen, your national security minister is catching asleep. Your national security minister is sleeping, not only in the parliament, but he is also sleeping in the ministry. He is also asleep when coming to policies. He is also asleep when coming to have you safe. He is also asleep that he does not even know what is his portfolio. Look at him. Crime is out of control, but your minister of national security is sleeping on the job. and sleeping with his mouth open too? I want to tell you today that Fitzgerald Hines, I have a question to come back to. Fitzgerald Hines have failed in every ministry in this country, from Manning to now, but yet still, you see, there is the mafiosa code that none can fire none. Because if one fire one, the next thing that will happen is all in jail. So nobody can fire nobody. You can't tell me, ladies and gentlemen, that crime in this country is at the place where nobody is safe. We have seen mothers being shot, pregnant mothers being shot in motorcar. We have seen children being shot, fathers, brothers, sisters, everybody, every level of society being shot at and being killed, being murdered in this country. And yet to the end of the day, this government cannot have or introduce a policy that could reduce this crime situation. But let me tell you what happened. You see, this government is involved in so much of criminal activities. This government is involved in so much of criminal activities, from procurement, from procuring without procurement, from breaching constitutions to put their people in place, from not giving account for taxpayers millions upon millions of dollars, from covering up from oil scandal to house scandal to all kind of scandal, port scandal, boat scandal, Coast Guard boat scandal, Tobago boat scandal, all kind of scandal. It's just cover up upon cover up. This government, the people, the criminals of this government, the criminals of this country, they are following the pattern, the trend that is set out by the government. You see, when you have a government that continue to break the laws of the land, which ought to govern all of us, then those on the criminal side will have an upper hand, because it is more easier to encourage and to build criminal gangs when the government is committing criminal acts. Because it's so easy, the leader will say, look, you ain't see what happening? Look, the government thieving the money here. Look, they're doing this here. They break the law here. They break. Boy, what happened to we have to live too. Look how nice them living. And it's a whole web of wrongdoers. That is what is happening. And this is where we reach in this country. So the criminals, they are looking at the government as examples and mentors in order to continue their trade in crime. And when this is happening, ladies and gentlemen, you could only understand that what will happen in this country is that any given morning, any minute, any hour, any second, your death can knock at your door as a result of criminal activities. We can no longer, ladies and gentlemen, tolerate this in our country. I am asking you today, as citizens with common sense, I am asking you today as citizens who have some level of education, I am asking you today as citizens with level head who are seeing what is happening, I am asking you today, ladies and gentlemen, let us stand together to take back our country out of the hands of the criminals in government and out of the hands of the criminals on the street. We, ladies and gentlemen, have to stand to save our country. And I am trying desperately to have you to understand, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is about us. This is about you. This is about me. This is about your family. It's about my family. This is about your children. It's about my children. This is about your grandchildren. It's also about my grandchildren. This is what it is about. And we, ladies and gentlemen, We have to stop playing games and allowing ourselves to be used and to be papi show and to be bullied by this administration. We have to take a stand, and we have to take that stand now. We have to take that stand to save our children. I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the policy of this government will be to put them school children in prison. And I am telling you that putting them there, they will be just worse off than ever. We have to save this country. But when you have a government who continue to perpetrate crimes against the citizens, you will realize that these children have no respect anymore because of the example of this government. When we have a president in office who have breached the Constitution, these children in secondary school, they are not as dotish as this PNM government feel, you know. These children understand what is happening in government. They are seeing what is going on by high-ranking officials in government. They are seeing what is happening from the highest office holder, which is the president. And these children, they would be telling themselves, if the president and the government could misbehave, why we can't misbehave? Why we can't misbehave? But guess what? We want to jail them. We want to put them in prison, when the truth and in fact is the government should be in jail. This government should be under house arrest. This should be under house arrest, because this government is the government that is responsible for the behavior of the people of this country. You could disguise it how much you want. When a government continue to break the law and break it blatantly in front of every citizen, from the smallest child, you have a prime minister who use all kind of foul language on social media, on television houses, on radio station, where every child could understand what the prime minister is saying and what you will expect the children to do. When you look at the offices where should be setting the proper example in society for children to follow, and you see this kind of behavior coming out from these high office, such as the office of the president, the office of the prime minister, the speaker of the house, and all these institutions, when you see the kind of behavior that is being demonstrated publicly, what you expect the children to do? What you expect the children to do? You expect the children to be saints when we have Lucifer leading this country? You expect the children to be saints when you have a set of devil imps running this country? You expect the children to set any different standard, while the standard that is set by those in authority is the standard of a criminal? What do you expect will happen with Trinidad and Tobago? And yet to the end of the day, while them should be in prison, they want to put your school child in prison. This government have created crimes against humanity. This government have allowed our citizens to die under this pandemic. This government have never provided the necessary medication in our healthcare system to give our citizens a fighting chance. This government continue to spend taxpayers' money without accountability. This government continue to rob this treasury without any form of explanation, accountability, or transparency. What you expect will happen on the outside? If we have crime to the head, what you expect the tail to do? If the head are the dog mad, what do you expect will happen? This country is out of control. And it's out of control because you have selected a group of out of control politicians to sit at the hem of governance in this country. That is why we are where we are today. We are here because of a government who choose not to respect law and order. We have seen so much crimes and nothing from the Integrity Commission, nothing from the Commissioner of Police, nothing from the independent senators, nothing from the judiciary, nothing from the Law Association. What would you expect? What would you expect? You cannot expect a mango tree to bear grapes. The government is sowing the seed of crime. They are committing crime. What you expect the citizens and the children of this country, what you expect them to do? Not follow the leadership, not follow the example that is being set by those who should be holding offices in high esteem. What you expect will happen? You expect every Monday morning we will see the behavior of Rowley and his government, and expect Monday morning the children behavior in school to change? That's what you're expecting? Well, you're living in a bubble. Only living in a bubble. To fix the problem is not fixing the problem from below. For too long in this country, we try to fix the crime situation from below come up. It cannot work. It will never work. Jacob, you could buy 1 million guns and 10 million rounds of ammunition. It will never fix the crime problem in this country. You could bring 5 million new brand police cars. You could dress the police in any kind of uniform. Change the uniform again and see if that will work. That doesn't work. A matter of fact, Jacob, your appointment, is it lawful? Is your appointment lawful? Is your appointment legal? Are you appointed according to the merit list? Are you appointed according to the constitution that gave a police service commission power to put forth a list? Is it? So what do you expect the society to do? Every form of every institution in this country is high levels of corruption. Anywhere turn is levels of corruption. You think the school children so dotish that them ain't know what's going on? You feel them ain't know that the government is corrupt? You feel them ain't know that the government searching with pockets? Just like how some of them searching the fellow students' pocket? You feel them ain't know that where thing they get that from? They learn that from the government. Is the government they learn it from? The government dipping their hand in your pocket and emptying it. And you as a country, you as a citizens, you not fighting back? Well, them school children have more sense than all you. Because when you dip your hand in the pocket, it's fighting school. They have more sense than all you. We just sitting down and allowing corruption to flourish. And we do nothing about it. We say nothing about it. And then we talk, well, we had to wait an election coming, let me see what will happen. Let me see what will happen. Some are little dead before that reach. Some are little dead paupers before 2025. Dead paupers before 2025. Mark my word. All you feel the Skid Row, the administration playing with all you. All you feel the playing with all you. When a government locked down your employment sector and started to raise taxes and started to bring property tax and started to raise fuel and everything, high cost of living, you feel it because they love it all you? You feel it they love all you? Well, if that is the case, they love a little debt because they were going to happen to all you. They're going to die for starvation in this country. I even want to go into the diversification of the agriculture sector and so on. I even go into today. But let me tell you something, people. Wake up in this country, boy. Wake up in this country I talking to all of you who are heirs. This has nothing to do with Victor Robertson. No. This have to do with all of us. It's all of us in this together. Whether you're white, black, green, blue, yellow, Indian, Creole, wherever you want to call yourself. All of us in this together. And we in this because we are allowing it to happen. We're not standing for change. We're not standing to make the difference. We're not standing to demand good governance. We're not standing to save our children. We ain't standing for that. Some parents, let me tell you the stage you reach, them going and fight by the school too. Them going and fight by the school too. That is what this government bring all it to. Going and fight by the school too. People, what all they want again? What all they want to see? Yesterday I was having a conversation and my good friend telling me, he said, boy, I think it is unfair for me to go and tell people, all you have no water, all you have no electricity, all you can buy food, all you can do this, then you have to vote. Vote for we. My partner told me that yesterday. And I'm going down the road and I'm soaking it in. And my next partner tell me, he said, boy, you know the man right, boy. People supposed to just be ready to vote without even telling them. People supposed to just get up and say, boy, I vote. I want election now. I want election now. Ready to vote for what is happening in this country. And all they say, don't and take this. All they say, don't and take this. All they really serious, Trinidad and Tobago? All they serious? All they taking this? All right. Well, if all they taking that, go ahead and take that, right? Good night. I gone.
They cry from the ghetto, and they wear on them like they don't care about somebody. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them, no, we got to try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them, no, we got to try.